Hey guys, I want to show you how I use my tappets. I use tappets like this. I use tappets like this. I use these silicone molds. I want to show you how I use them, and it's really, really easy. These are the tools that I use. I use my roller. I use my rotary cutter, and I use a scribe tool. You can use a toothpick or whatever. Now, back when I first started, I would use these things. You can see this one is very well worn, very loved. It's what comes with the little pink sponge that you make gum paste flowers with. That's where you get this little piece of foam or whatever. But now, since I wear gloves, I don't have to use that anymore. I take and I roll my fondant out. Now, guys, to me, the trick to this is letting this fondant dry. If you've had to put, especially if you've had to put very much color in it to get it, to be the color that you wanted, you're going to need to let this dry. If you don't have time to let this air dry, you will want to mix some more powdered sugar in it to make it a little bit drier. I'll let it lay, even if I have it dry and have had to put some powdered sugar in it, I will take and roll it out and let it sit for about 5 minutes on this side, just air drying. You want it to form a little bit of a crust, and then you'll flip it over and let it dry on the other side for about 5 minutes as well. Now, I have tried to use satin ice fondant in the tappets. It does not work. It is terrible. Now, I used to buy the satin ice fondant because the only pretty hot pink, this color right here, that I could find was in satin ice. But I don't like satin ice fondant unless they've changed the formula for it lately. I don't care for it. I've learned how to make my own hot pink, so I don't have to buy that anymore. And while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I use these little silicone molds. Now, I would just take and pinch me off a ball of however much I need. And because I'm wearing gloves, it's not going to stick to my fingers. But if you're not wearing gloves, this little foam mat, I would just press it in there, and then I would pull to the side, which pulls off any of the excess, so that you have just the right amount, in the little holder there. But because, like I said, I use gloves, I don't have to. I can just work it like that. And then to get it out, I take and bend it, and then I take my scribe tool and I stick just barely into it and pull it up out of there like that, and then let it fall out so that you have a letter like that. Me not using the little piece of foam, I'll take my finger and just pull to the side to scrape off any of the excess off of there. And then normally what I like to do is go ahead and make whatever letters I need and let them dry just a little bit. Let them get a kind of a crust on it on the back so that they're easier to pull out and you don't distort the shape of it. See how that's got a little bit of extra? I'm just going to pull across it with my finger like I'm just scraping it with my finger. I'm going to let that dry for a second. Also, a good key is making sure your fondant is thin enough. You don't want it too thin. You want it to still, like on some of these letters, like the I, it has detail in it that it doesn't cut it out. It just presses it into the fondant. So don't roll it so thin it won't pick up, the details. But don't roll it so thick that it's going to stick through the front side of your tappet. And I think that's probably about 1/8 of an inch is what I find works really well for me. This is how thin I like to roll it to do this. Now, this is kind of very gummy today. I haven't put any powdered sugar with this, but it's been raining for a couple of days here, and this is very, very gummy, so I'm going to have to give it a chance to dry. Once it's had enough time to dry, you don't have to do this, but I like to cut it in strips of what size I'm going to need so that there's not a lot of excess when I start cutting my letters. We're going to start with our H. We're going to center it up over our piece of fondant. Make sure it's big enough and you don't have any pieces hanging off of it. We're going to press it in, and then I like to slide it around to clean up the edges. So then I pull this off, and you see how you're going to have some in each of the adjoining letters. I don't know why that gets on my nerves, but I pick it out with my other piece. I just pick it out like it's, you know, gum or whatever. And then this is why it's called a tappet. You're going to tap. You see how many times I had to tap it? If it's good and dry, it'll come right out. It still worked, but it's honestly probably still a little bit too tacky. So you might want to let it dry just a little bit more. I'm going to cut an O. So I'm going to half this piece. We're going to figure out where our letter is. We're going to place it over our piece of fondant, press, and slide it around to clean up those edges. When I have something that has the piece in the middle, I take my scribe and just flick those pieces out. And then just like with the other one, I take my little ball of extra and I get these two sides clean. And then, right like that, you just one tap and it's out. I'm going to cut this W. I'm going to center it up. Press, slide, then I'm going to pull the excess away, clean up on both sides, and then tap it out like that. Center it up, press, slide, pull the excess. Oops, that one came out with it. That's okay. See, just let it fall out. I didn't even have to tap that one out. But also, what I was talking about not getting it too thin. See, I rolled this too thin. There's a design in this T, but I rolled it so thin it didn't press the T on there. So let me cut that out of a thicker piece. And you know, it doesn't have to show, but I like it to show. Pull the excess off, and then we're going to tap it out. See, that one, now you can see the design in the top of the T here, that it presses that design down in there. That's what it didn't have the last time because it was so thin. All right, and I have a different set of tappets. I have these, and this is just a different font. I believe this is called Curly or Curls. I'm not really sure what this font's called, and I'm not sure what this font's called, but you can find all kinds of fonts on Amazon right now. Now, since these are so much smaller, I can cut my squares down a good bit because these letters are so much smaller. Again, we're going to center it up, push it, slide it, pull the excess off. Oops, and tap it out. See, it landed right there. And that's it, guys. It is just that easy. Let's put it on the board. And there you have it, guys. That's how you get really cute lettering that's always uniform, exact for your cakes. And you can find all kinds of different tappets to use. And they're super easy. Let your fondant dry before you try, and it will be super, super easy. If there's anything else you would like for me to show you how to do, let me know, and I'll be glad to make a video on it. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.